The D, man.
Yeah, shout out my nigga from D's Media, you feel me?
Mr. Gathwright's age, physical abilities, things like that, do you think that the prison would benefit from him in a work capacity if he were sentenced to life without parole?
I say yes. With my experience, not only just in classification, but as former warden and even as a jail administrator, he's someone that's young, he's healthy. In reality, we need that labor, we need that sweat equity, and we will put him out there to work because we do have an aging prison population, jail administration. We have that, so we put these young individuals to work and get some sweat equity out of them since they are young and actually can do the work.
And then we talk about Mr. Gathwright's age.
I just want to address the court today, and, you know, I'm not here to dispute anything. I'm just here to be a man and take responsibility and express my feelings about was, you know, this whole situation. You know, that's what I plan on doing.
Okay. And how do you feel? What?
I feel very remorseful, you know. This is a terrible situation. It's been a traumatic experience. You know, to the victim's family, you know, I want to send my deepest condolences and my, you know, I understand that it's hard losing a child, a best friend, a brother, a cousin, and just cannot say sorry enough, you know. I feel terrible about the situation, but I'm a firm believer that God can use anything for good that the devil wanted for bad. And so I am grateful for the people I've met, for the lessons that I've learned, for just this experience in general, because it's one that I'll never forget, and it's going to shape the rest of my life.
Sounds like there's that saying, it's kind of cheesy, but you make lemons out of lemonade or whatever. Make
Lemonade out of lemons.
Somehow. I obviously don't make lemonade, but it sounds to me like you are going to try and make the best of a bad situation. Does that sound about right?
Of course.
And are you going to continue to do that?
Of course. I'm going to try to, you know, continue a humble life, a righteous life, you know, try to do the right things at all times, and, you know.
Will you apprise yourself? We've heard about some, you know, courses and programs and things that you can get involved with to stay busy in prison. Is that something that
you know, hearing Raul's testimony was, you know, the first glimpse that I have of, you know, what prison could be like. You know, I want to stay as busy as possible, you know, stay away from bad apples. You know, I want to, like, keep a job, get into programs, try to get into any vocational things I can do, try to, you know, keep my record clean to, you know, go to the best incentivized things and have visits with my family. And, you know, I just want to just stay out the way, you know. I just want to make everything, you know, peaceful as can be.
Charles Jones, my autopsy photos of Charles Jones. My question to you is, after you and your friends inflicted that carnage on June 23rd, and as you were running States 2059C, this is actually you running to shoot them, but when you were running back past that Tesla, were you feeling a lot of trauma at that point?
It was so long ago, I try to not remember anything from that night.
Were you remorseful as you were running back with that AR-15 in your hands?
Like I said, I try to remember nothing from that night.
Was it traumatic to you as you went back to the car with that AR-15? Was it still smoking? Was it still warm in your hands from firing it?
Sustain the objection.
Were you feeling remorse as you were getting back into the Impala?
Like I said, I just try to focus on today and moving forward.
So the next day, that Impala, that was your car. You drove that around, right? It was your mom's, but you drove that car, correct?
Yes, sir. It was my mother's car.
All right. And that was the car you drove from Jacksonville to Tampa in, correct?
I'm going to object beyond stuff.
I'm working to a point, Your Honor.
Okay, why don't we just get there?
All right. So this car, this Impala that you drove from Jacksonville to Tampa in with Mr. Chance and Miss Andrews, the one that you drove in tandem with the Silver Cruise, the same car that you utilized to drive the assault team, the shooting team, which you were a part of that night. That same car that you drove around Tampa in the early morning hours for several hours, tracking and hunting Charles Jones and his entourage.
Permanent, sustained.
That same Impala, you drove that to Polk County the next day, and you dropped it at your grandmother's house, right? The same grandmother who came in here last night and testified for you, correct?
Overruled, go ahead, you can answer that question.
Isn't that correct?
What is the question?
You dropped the Impala, the one that had all of these shooters in it, the one that was utilized in that was such a vital cog in this plan. You dropped it at your grandmother's house in Auburndale, didn't you?
I'm here to testify about today.
Are you going to answer that question, or are you going to avoid it? Because that's not what I asked what you were doing here today. I think we all understand what you're here to do today, what you're testifying about. I'm asking you specifically about your remorse. Were you remorseful when you dropped that car off and left it at your grandmother's house in Auburndale? See photos of Charles Jones. My question to you is, after you and your friends inflicted that carnage on June 20th,
The D, man.
Yeah, shout out my nigga from D's Media, you feel me?